You know, we've been here all day, Elizabeth, and you mentioned the passion that the sheriff spoke about, and we hear that with people on and off camera. A lot of them leaving the football field when we were talking to them, finally reunited with their parents. Some of them white as a ghost, in complete shock, couldn't speak. As you mentioned, that 14-year-old was greeted by a school resource officer just moments after he started firing. They said the initial call came in at 10:20 Eastern time. Within minutes, there were multiple agencies on the scene. The school resource officer had a weapon pointed at the 14-year-old, and he surrendered. What we don't know is a question that I asked the sheriff. Were any of those two teachers targeted? Were any of the two students who passed away targeted? Not only did he not release their identities, but he also did not tell us whether or not they were targeted. As you mentioned, the 9 other individuals treated for gunshot wounds, really giving you an idea of how many shots were fired. Now, one student who was able to speak with us was a 15-year-old in second period, and he was not very far from the gunfire. He said initially, when he heard the gunfire, he thought something had fallen, and then it started to happen over and over again, so much so that he lost count. That's when his teacher put the whiteboard up against the wall. He put all the students in a corner, turned off the light, didn't even open the door when a sheriff deputy knocked, but he told us at one moment he did not think that he would survive the day. Here he is.
I heard the gunshots, and my friend, he's on that hall. I was scared. I was like, please don't. Yeah, it was a lot.
How many gunshots did you hear?
I'm not sure, but I thought something fell at first, and then it just wouldn't stop.
You know, we heard from not only the GBI, but also the Sheriff's Department that this 14-year-old will be charged as an adult. And someone asked, would he be facing a hate crime? And the sheriff said, when you enter my school and you have a weapon, that is an act of hate. Tonight, there will be a vigil for those lives lost. But to give you some perspective, Elizabeth, we're about an hour northeast of the city of Atlanta. This is a beautiful area. Rolling hills, white picket fences. Everyone who I spoke with said, this is just not what you would expect here. Elizabeth?
Well, there had been reports earlier in the day that there was some sort of a threat called into Apalachee High School and several other schools in the area. Do we know if that's been verified? Did the sheriff address that?
The sheriff did address that. That was another question shortly after mine. He said he does not have any information in regards to a phone call that was made, allegedly. These are reports that were circulating online. He said, to his knowledge, that he does not have that information. You can imagine, right, as an investigator, you are battling a time of social media. We have a high school of 1,900 students behind me. Most of them have access to a smartphone. So it's been a drip, drip, drip of information. They said they will hold another press conference tonight, Elizabeth. Of course, in turn, just try to combat some of that misinformation that is circulating.
Yeah,
Elizabeth?
Lots of misinformation, and as of this moment, not a lot of hard information, a lot of unanswered questions. Elizabeth Fran reporting live from the scene there. I want to bring... Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.